Hi, my name is Kevin, and welcome to my drawing tutorial video. Over the course of this video, I'll be showing the basics of my sketching technique. But before we begin that, let's go over some of the basic materials that one uses to sketch. First off, you'll need a pencil. Any type will do, but I use a mechanical one. Next, a sheet of paper. Doesn't particularly matter where it comes from for a sketch, as long as it doesn't have lines on it. Third, an eraser. As you can see, this one is very well used. Fourth, an idea, but we already have that. And the fifth and final thing that we'll need to get started is time. Before I begin, however, I feel that as a character developer, I should talk a little bit about the character that I'm designing. Her name is Molly Meredith. She was born of an idea that I had some time ago while I was at work. It just sort of popped into my head, and I quickly threw a sketch of her on a sheet of paper. Visually, she is sort of a cross between Jason Voorhees and Carrie from the horror movies that they star in. She's a psychic. She's an axe murderer. She's scared of clowns. She's mute. And she is intended to be a player character for the game or games I decided to put her into. Her appearance and outfit both reflect someone who never quite grew up. She's about 15 in this picture. And someone who's been through a lot, at least mentally. She's meant to be a little bit creepy. And she's meant to look at least a little bit scared or very alert to everything that's around her, everything that's going on around her. The slightest thing can set her off. Unless you're a clown, in which case you're already dead. First, you want to start by doing a tiny drawing called a thumbnail. Now you can't see it because my arm is in the way, but it's a very basic sketch, very tiny, to show what the character will look like ultimately, just to flesh out the pose and the basic design. Once that portion is done, you want to begin a simple stick figure of the character. The head circle, which will be used to measure out the rest of the character's proportions, should be the first thing. It was usually the first thing that I start with. Once you've fleshed out the head circle, start by finding the center line for vertically and horizontally for the head, as well as a line below it to identify the cheek line. Flesh out the basic shapes of the head, the cheek, and the skull. And once you've got that done and found where the neck should go, draw a curved line for the spine. Follow up with a bow shape for the shoulder, then block out the rib cage using kind of an H shape, as well as a pentagon shape further down the spine line to represent the hips. These pieces represent the basic skeleton of the character. After you've done this, you want to start to flesh out some of the shapes of the body. Simple lines for the torso and hips, and a circle at the tips of the bow for the shoulders. Then you want to start to flesh out the arms. A couple of sticks to measure out the length and basic pose. Helps get things started. A slightly elongated circle at the end of these sticks sets of the base for the hands. Even though you may not see it, always get in the habit of drawing parts of a person's anatomy that would normally be obscured by the rest of the body. It helps to keep things in proportion. Once you've fleshed out the basic structures of the body, you want to start erasing some of your guidelines and darkening some of the lines that you want to keep. Don't erase too deeply though, as some of these lines you'll still use for reference for things like the eyes and the nose. One thing that you should always remember while designing in general is that your basic idea should be a guide, not a straitjacket. Using the guidelines on the head from earlier, sketching the ear, and then begin to sketch in the eyes. Because Molly is always particularly alert and creepy, her eyes are always wide open. Using the skull lines as a base to quickly sketch in Molly's big wild hairstyle. Then start using simple lines to sketch in details like her mask. Now when it comes to drawing the female figure, one tip that I picked up from a friend was how to draw the breasts and keep them balanced. I use a modified figure eight. Turn on the side with the X at the start. Tears in her dress, nothing to be provocative. Always remember as you're working to clean up if need be. Erasing anything that's not necessary, anything that will be hidden, like in your guidelines and like, while darkening lines, keep simple, straight, curved lines. Crossing over small circle for her hand, makes her gigantic ass. Says crazy signature tops Venus. Woohoo! He's a visionary!